Get the most out of me time when you multi-mask with Mary Kay's Trio Mask Sets, the Moisture Renewal Gel Mask, Charcoal Mask, and the Pink Clay Mask. Each mask produces for your skin the moisture, softness, and glow you are wanting for your skin. And for your overall body, you will absolutely love the Satin Collection for your hands, lips, and body. Register on my website at www.marykay.com/rcbrook to get 30% off your website order through December.
Did you know the IRS just hired more than 50,000 new agents? Most of these agents specialize in collections and are mandated to audit small businesses and increase collections on individuals. IRS notices can be intimidating, but waiting to act could cost you your valuable taxpayer rights. Don't try to handle the IRS alone. These agents are trained to trap you into agreements designed to collect as much money as possible. Don't pay thousands of dollars to a marketing company claiming to be a tax resolution firm. Get behind the shield. The enrolled agents at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services are experts at tax resolution, protecting taxpayers' rights, and are federally licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has the knowledge, skill, and experience to assist you with audit representation, liens, levies, offers in compromise, innocent spouse relief, wage garnishment, back taxes, and more. Don't lose sleep, time, or your rights as a taxpayer. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com to schedule a consultation and get the IRS off your back. Get behind the shield.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the call to be born.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
He gon' fix your situation like there ain't no time for wasting. We ain't playing when we saying
he the boss.
And if you ever have a problem, he gon' show you how to solve it. Listen in and he'll show you he the boss.
Here's your host, the Texas tax expert, George Dandridge.
And your new co-host, the financial trailblazer, Sharita Humphrey.
Crack the code, he the boss.
What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of Boss Talk Radio. Real excited about what we have going on today. And welcome our co-host, Miss Sharita Humphrey. How you doing today, sis?
Hey, y'all. Hey. This is going to be a good one. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're talking mindset, money, and how it all goes together.
Yes. You know, this time of year, it's always, in general, difficult for people who are experiencing loss of a loved one or whatever, especially if it's their first season without. When you compound that, though, with the pandemic, and you compound that with being an entrepreneur, that can be even more devastating. So today, we're going to get into the whole mental health aspect, give you guys things that you can do. Well, first and foremost, how to even recognize that you may be dealing with some stuff, you know. And we're not going to give you the whole Uncle George opinion. We brought in some heavy hitter today with all the letters behind her name. So for you, you're taking on a lot of clients that are in business or whatever. What types of things are you seeing out here in the marketplace as it relates to how people's mindset are going, you know, dealing with these holidays?
I think one of the things I'm seeing the most is what a lot of people don't realize what they're having. And I'm pretty sure our expert who's coming here will definitely be able to dive into this. And that is the holiday blues. And a lot of people don't realize that they're having this. This is something that they, you know, like, oh, it's just always this time of the year. It's just the holidays. I'm just really not into it. Especially for those who are business owners, or like you just said, those who have maybe this is the first time without a loved one, and we're just trying to figure it out. But a lot of times we have been dealing with the holiday blues even before the pandemic or losing a loved one. We just didn't know what it was. We didn't know that there was a terminology or something that was tied to it. So we just figured out all around the holidays. Even my husband, he was just one of those people. He's just like, the holidays was never really my thing. He's just like, it was always a down period for me. But we had to just kind of just talk about, where did that stem from? Of course, that was from him losing his grandmother. He was very close to her. And so that is why I was just saying, sometimes it's compiled on. It's not just the business at hand and trying to wrap up in the hustle and bustle of holiday shopping and trying to make sure we finish the year strong. It's some things that are underlying. And I'm so glad about this conversation, because we're going to get to the root of it today. So I'm excited.
Yes, that's a part that a lot of people will miss out on, is tying back the source of what an issue may be or what a behavior may be, because in their mind, well, this is me now, or this is who I always am, or what have you, but they don't tie it back in to whatever. And I don't know if trauma would be overstated, but they don't tie that thing back to what they've dealt with that put them in this particular place or this particular space. And then also the impact that has on your relationship with money, how you spend, how you treat things. Like I've seen some people say, well, you shouldn't tell people how to, spend their money, so forth and so on. But we see sometimes people, for lack of better words, just go broke for the holidays, and it's almost like they're compensating for something. I see it a lot with business owners or entrepreneurs that's in the pursuit of greatness, and they haven't spent time with their family, and they have that guilt complex, and so they try to pacify that by elaborate gifts or large number of gifts or whatever. And then I've seen others that just say, well, I'm not going to participate in the commercial holiday, blah, 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 or whatever. And it's still like, okay, where is that mindset stemming from? So that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to be back right after these messages with our very special guest, Dr. Taaka Cash, coming up right after this.
From exotic luxury vacations to dream weddings, theme parties to family reunion cruises, corporate travel to corporate team building events, Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. Take the stress out of planning and arranging your events and travel. Call us today at 510-459-7732 or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions. Details is what we do.
Hi, I'm Dr. Taaka Cash. Welcome to Being Contagious with Change. I bet you're wondering, what's being contagious with change? I influence someone, you influence someone. Link on this page. Come join me on this journey. Welcome. Welcome back. This session on support. How do you define support? How do others perceive the support that you're giving them? Is it physical, emotional, financial? I know support can be something that's inundating. It can be too much at times. If you're giving of yourself, if you're giving too much of your time, if you're giving too much of yourself when it comes to your mind or your hands or use of self, my challenge to you is to truly be contagious in understanding how your support is being received, how you're giving your support, and how that support is being utilized in the spaces that you're operating in. You want to learn more practical tips on how to deal with people that are actually using your support? Well, you visit us online today. Register. We'll see you soon on next session.
She's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, Dr. Taaka Cash. How are you doing today?
Hi, I am doing exceptionally well. Thank you so much for having me.
We are excited to have you. We've touched on mindset oftentimes in the show as it related to staying motivated and things like that. But I felt like we failed to address some of the things that may prevent a person from getting to that positive space or staying intrinsically motivated and whatnot. So we're excited to have you and have you speak to our audience today about some of the things that honestly we just may not be aware of, whether it's trauma in our youth, whether it's cultural, etc. So before we do that, let's tell everybody, you go ahead and tell everybody about your background. I'm not going to even try to repeat all of those letters that come after doctor, because I had to Google them all. So go ahead and tell everybody about yourself.
Hello. Thank you so much, George and Sharita, for having me again. My name is Dr. Taaka Cash. I hold a doctorate in nursing practice from Vanderbilt University. I also hold a Master of Science in Nursing, board certified in psychiatry from Vanderbilt University. I have a background in public health and auditing and financial analysis and financial condition of organizations as well. And most importantly, my biggest triumph is helping others to identify what their purpose is, transforming into the person that you truly desire to be, tapping into what you used to do when you were a kid. And, when we get older, we kind of lose our way from that. So that goes to your point in regards to really identifying who you are in the here, who you are in the now, who you will be in the future. How does that impact others? But don't let others use you up before you get to be used. I yield the floor back to you.
Awesome. So what I see a lot of is, for lack of better words, people like overcompensating, even though it may be with something that seems positive on the surface. There's nothing negative to say about, what they're doing on the surface, but they're really hiding from something else or what have you. And I especially see this with people that are in business. I see it in everybody when it comes to the holiday season. People will just kind of, for lack of a better word, overindulge, in certain activities or whatever to fill that void. How can people start to recognize that they're operating from an unhealed space?
When you start to recognize that when you are doing something and it's affecting somebody else, a lot of the times when we're in our circles, we're in our friends, we're in our households, and people try to tell us, we're not really receptive to people telling us that we're not, that we're probably sad or we're probably depressed or our house is not clean. I tell people to start looking around at the very things that you do naturally every single day. For example, I'm going to use myself, okay? I'm going to use myself. If I look in my car, the evidence is going to be there. I may have Chick-fil-A bags in the back. I may have my hair brushed on the floor. Some water bottles going to be everywhere. You know what I mean? So it always starts there. So if you start to notice that your car is becoming cluttered, and from your car, you end up going where? To work. And then at your workspace, guess what? It's cluttered as well. Then you go back home. I mean, I got an armoire that sometimes I use it as just, it's just the chair of the day for all my clothes, my books, my bag, and everything else. So you just start looking at all of those different things around you, even down to the toothbrush that's at your sink. Where did you place it? If you're starting to become forgetful, if you forgot your edge control one day, you know what I mean? I walked out the house one day with 2 different shoes on. One day I walked out the house and I ain't have on no shoes. If you start to become very forgetful, start to notice, because you're going to notice first. You just don't want other people to what? To notice that you have those limitations and that you're suffering with it. And that's why it's still very important that during this time that you don't hide yourself, that you don't go in, that you don't push yourself to the back, because a lot of times it will come out as anger. It'll come out as irritability. It'll come out as rage. So you have to be very careful with how you handle yourself and balance yourself during the season.
That's I'm sitting here having all kind of guilt complexes right now. Like, I feel judged.
I know, I'm talking to myself.
That part about the car, it's like, my car stays relatively clean, but there are those times where I look around and I walk in, what the hell's going on in here? So that's big. Just paying attention to the daily activities can be that sign. So when you do identify, when you notice it, what should you do to help yourself come back to the center?
Well, what I'm going to do is just give you our real world experiences as if like you're at home by yourself with the resources that you have at your disposal. Because a lot of people the reality is that they don't have access to mental health care. And with the recent healthcare laws, guess what? A lot of employers ain't got it. They don't have to give you mental health care. They don't have to give you insurance, right? So don't have to do all of those things. So my answer is going to come from a place of me centering myself or picturing you guys at your house and what resources would you naturally have at your disposal. So the first thing that we're going to do is talk to our friends. Talk to your friends. Talk to them. Vent. Let them know that, hey, I don't really understand why I'm doing this, but I'm starting to become very forgetful. I'm starting to become very impulsive. I'm becoming distracted. I done left my kid at home, and these are real things. I'm starting to notice that I don't feel the motivation that I felt 2 years ago. This new world that we're living in, this new COVID, like what you called it, pandemic, we truly have to plan for our mental health and wellness throughout this, because guess what? Finances is being impacted. Faith is being impacted. Communication is being impacted. Strength, leadership, support, trust, fitness. Wow. How many of us had to lose weight during the pandemic? I had to plan to lose the 50 pounds, okay?
Well, I think, it's interesting. Like, I'm saying, like, I didn't even think about that many levels to it. And so I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, okay, people that I may have normally talked to that may have fell to the back, should I now be like checking on them because they're going through it? Or is that kind of invasive because, I don't know, like when I'm going through it, I kind of shut down. So, what's the solution there in that balance of the interaction, culturally speaking, where, because we tend to do that, and it's like, I guess you've been trained that way almost, like you don't want to just go out and share problems or whatever. And at the same time, I've realized that, you can't expect anyone to be there to help when nobody knows what's what to begin with.
Right. A lot of the times you just ask your friends, are you in a place to receive the energy I'm about to give you? I have something to tell you. Because a lot of times I may not be ready. Okay.
That's good.
Okay. No, seriously, ask people before y'all start. Like, you know what, girl, your edges is real not tight today. Okay. My lace front may be showing on one day. Don't tell me that. I may not be ready to hear that. Okay. I know that. I know I got my lace front at home. Okay. But these are serious situations that have happened to me. And I'm just coming from a personal, real life situation where if someone is coming to you, truly just in all respect, handle them with the grace that you would want to have. Are you in a space to receive the emotional information that I'm about to give you? Because if that answer is no, just let them know that I'm present for you. Sometimes silence goes a long way. And just checking on them. And if you notice your strong friends, and a lot of times in the African American community, we're taught to be strong. We're taught to walk with our heads up. We're taught to, look the other way, to not, to keep it in the family. And especially when it comes to mental health and how we're dealing. And a lot of times we deal with mental health and anger. We be angry and people be like, you just moody. What is wrong with you? And so a lot of the times you want to go to your friend and just say, listen, I've noticed, or have you noticed that, your car is cleaning? Can I help you clean it? Don't go and say, your car need cleaning, your house need cleaning. Girl, them kids is dirty, but you know what? I'll see you next time. No, you want to be able to provide people with the resources that they need. And this pandemic, and I'm calling it exactly what you are calling it, because our friends have been so incredibly just amazing in making sure that they're checking on the strong, making sure that they're touching base and that they're checking in and that they're holding themselves accountable as well. And they're saying, listen, I'm not feeling my best self right now. Y'all check on me about 4 times a month, okay? And that's because of the relationships that we've cultivated over the years. And so, to your point, when you are in that situation and you don't know what to say, but you've recognized it, make sure that you give them the resources available. Make sure that you give them the number to the suicide awareness line. They can contact www.psychconnectonline.com or call 1-833-ON-PSYCH. There are psychiatric services that are available for anyone. We're in a multitude of states, primarily in Texas, California, Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, Delaware. We're in a lot of different states. And so the reason we're increasing this access to care, culturally relevant care that looks like us, is because a lot of times, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all while I'm on here. Y'all don't mind.
Let's just keep it real, dog.
I'm just gonna go and sit back here with my juice, okay? So, when I came up with Privy Oasis in 2013, the whole point behind Privy Oasis was to look for people who weren't looking for me and who look like me. And the reason is that it's because my people ain't looking for me, because we're trying to handle things where? Ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're too ashamed. We hold on to that shame. We have got to let go of those generational curses, that generational strain and stress. You don't have to suffer in labor no more. You don't have to. If you tired, ain't you tired of laboring? I'm tired.
It's interesting you touched on that, and I'm going to go ahead and give my sister her flowers in this moment, because you spoke about our strong friends, mm-hmm. and it must have been just 3, maybe 4 weeks ago at the most. Sharita reached out to me. She's like, "Hey, bro, what's going on with Boss Talk Radio?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm good." She's like, "No, I ain't seen you on schedule. What's happening?" It's like, sis, honestly, it's been kind of labor of love. I got this other stuff going on. I say I'm probably going to need to bring in a co-host at some point, because it's just gotten to be too much. And she was like, I'm here for you, right? And just like that, we were able to just kind of fill out the whole spectrum or whatever. And it was like, wow. So to touch on that, just culturally, and I think I'm qualified as a Black man to speak on this. Culturally speaking, I don't know how. I've never been trained on how to do that. And I see a lot of back and forth gender-wise on trivial matters on social media, about where's the safe space for Black men or what Black men aren't doing and so forth and so on. But I never see conversations, or I won't say ever, but rare is the conversation where there's real help, like you said, the solutions available. And a lot of times I think it's really just talking, but that fear of something you said being used against you, this is your space. What have you seen or come up with that can just kind of meet us where we are to get us to take that step outside of what we've been culturally, because it goes back to even when we were a kid, like, hey, boys don't cry, or whatever, So where's that fix?
Well, the fix is us, meaning companies like myself, hiring culturally competent Black men who hold doctoral degrees to be able to give you that increase and then access to care, culturally relevant and sensitive care when you need it. Okay. Like as a woman and as a Black woman, I can only do so much. All right. And now granted, my Black male clients, they love me to death. And it's because I meet them where they are. I was raised in the hood, so I can switch it on or I can switch it up, you know? And so also I'm very relatable. And a lot of the times men want to come into a space where they're feeling validated, where they feel heard, where, you know, a lot of the times I ask, can I offer perspective? So there's a translation of dialogue. There's a whole dynamic and paradigm that has to happen within that relationship in order for them to feel comfortable on that first interaction. Talking to them, like I give everyone 15 to 30 minutes free consultation. And a lot of times in that conversation, you can tell in somebody's voice is that if they're authentic, if they're real, if they're here for you. So what we've done with Privy Oasis, and Privy Oasis is the headquarters for Psych Connect Online, and Privy meaning confidential. Psych Connect Online is an accessible service where you can do it just from the comfort of your own home. So if you want to go in your car and talk to me, if you want to FaceTime me, if you want, you know, the I-21, 121, 635, you know, 183, and y'all know 183 going over there towards DeSoto going to take us forever, or out there towards Mesquite on 75, you're going to be stuck in traffic for a while. Go get on the phone, turn on your Bluetooth, and start talking to your therapist, you know, and that's what we're here for, to allow Black men to talk to other Black men who are qualified to do so. And, or if they want to talk to Black women who have doctoral education or psychiatrists who have a doctorate education, then you have those mediums at your disposal. So that's the answer, letting them know that there's culturally relevant, sensitive, and safe, that with me and our services and with our partners, you will not have to suffer. One thing about Black people, and I tell people all the time, I'm gonna get in close on this. I get this from a lot of my white counterparts, and they ask, okay, how can we better become relatable and, or, you know, let, you know, the African-American population know that our services are here? I said, well, for Black people, we just want to know that we're not going to suffer on the other side, that there's less suffrage. If I'm going to suffer in therapy, why am I in therapy? Right. If it's going to be traumatic for me, if it's going to injure me, if it's going to, you know, because there's a lot of I believe in genetic trauma. So there's a lot of generational and genetic trauma that is there. There are a lot of things that we have from the bottom, meaning from when you were younger all the way up, that has to be dealt with. And
I gotta ask, I heard that term before from another physician friend of mine. They weren't in your particular space, so I didn't deem it as necessarily, you know, the thing, but they spoke to, and it was a perspective. I just didn't consider it validated at the time. They spoke to this genetic code of trauma that you can actually not experience something, but have experienced it generations prior, and it's in you. Is that really a thing?
Yeah, it's really a thing. One thing that you, Sharita, and I have in common is fear. Fear. You put me, you, and her in a room, by default, I don't care, every Black person in a room with officers, we are immediately, by default, it's not going to be safety that we feel. Our immediate response is going to be fear and solution and retreat. What do we do?
Right.
And if George start running, Sharita not gonna ask no question. I'm not gonna ask no question.
That part.
We're gonna ask questions later.
No.
Okay? Or even when it comes down to, you've heard of bipolar disorders, they're genetic. When schizophrenia is genetic. A lot of mood disorders are genetic. Depression. You know, when it comes to even environmental stressors, there are environmental factors that, based on the way that you were raised, it ends up repeating the story over and over again into your adulthood. And even if we raise our children in the best of environments, you start to look and you go, how is it that my child was never raised in this environment, but they are behaving in this way and has never had any level of exposure to anything related to trauma? Nothing that we would deem as traumatic, right? Now, trauma is relative depending on what, who the person is and what the experience is. So I tell people, don't ever try to minimize someone's trauma. It's based on generation. Like my child's, her trauma in her generation is completely different. These children over the last 20 years, all they have seen over and over and over again in their generation since 1995, okay, to the early 2000s, trauma after trauma after trauma each year. You have to remember that the generation that we're treating right now, they went through 9/11, right? They went through all of these BOMBINGs. And I'm saying that so they don't flag the video. Right. And so they went through all of that. They went through a lot of school SHOOTINGS. You get what I'm saying? They went through a lot of that. And this generation went through a different type of presidency that they've never seen. So now you got
two types.
Dude, you're right. Two types. You're right. Then not only that, this generation went through what? The pandemic. This generation looking around like, how do y'all expect for these kids to cope?
Wow.
You're wondering, it's basically a new age and day. I don't want to say it's basically just a new day and age lynching, honestly, because you're starting to know, like over the last few weeks, 2 young Black girls committed suicide. They were 10. I think one was like 8. Why? Our children genetically, think about this. We're not supposed to do that, right? Why would Black people traditionally, we don't think of, when it comes to our genetic trauma, we already know what our history says. It's rare to see us to go around and just get something that's created in a news form and to do what? End our lives.
Right.
When our lives were so taken away from us. So that goes to the point of genetics, history. It's there. And then not only that, in a lot of conversations we're having now in mental health, when did it start that there are actually some new evidence out that supports that? I actually posted on my website the other day regarding the increase in African-American children are now today, they've outnumbered in suicides. Wow. When did that start happening?
Wow.
NAMI actually put that out. And so I was like, I had to go back. I was like, wait a minute. I said, did y'all read this?
Wow.
When did this start happening where not only do our children not know how to cope, what's happening in the household? Are the parents, do they have the resources to cope? Because you got to remember, in the household, there's another generation, then their generation. You got to remember, our parents only taught us what they could, but what they had, with the resources that they had.
And I want to park right here for a minute, because I don't want to blow past this like it's not real significant, because you just tied something in and it was just sitting. I was like jumping double dutch waiting to ask the question or whatever. And we're going to address it right after the break. But when you speak to the genetic component of these types of trauma, combined, or for that matter, compressed with historical events, first time events, and it's the first time for the parents too, so there's no precedent, no reference to deal with that. When children grow up without one or the other parent, or that relationship is strained, how does that impact that long-term mental into adulthood, and how can they identify that they're actually dealing with, because it seems to be the norm to them, so they may not recognize that it's a trauma, how they'll deal with that. We'll get into that right after this.
She cute. Style, comfort, and confidence. Shop with the trend in mind. She cute. Get the latest styles in outerwear, tops, jumpsuits, hats, and accessories. She cute. Shop from the comfort of your own home with confidence and quality products, hassle-free exchange, and free shipping over $65. She cute. Visit us online at SheCuteBoutique.com to shop our new fall collection.
Increasing brand awareness is essential. The more brand exposure you have for your company, the more likely you are to generate revenue with both existing and new customers. Scale Up Productions wants to help your business scale upward by helping you to create a video advertisement that is meant to garner interest and get customers excited about what you do. Send an email to support@scaleupproductions.com today to get started. The sky is the limit. Scale up.
Taking payments from today's different platforms makes it harder to manage your business. Dealing with varying fees, reporting, and deposit times not only impacts your cash flow, it makes reconciliation a nightmare. Besides, all the payments are still tied to a debit or credit card. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provides your business with payment solutions that make reporting simple. You can manage inventory, host shopping carts, take POS payments, ACH payments, send invoices, and so much more. Most businesses save over $2,500 a year in processing fees, a real impact on your bottom line. To learn more and get customized payment solutions, visit elite8financial.com or give us a call at 866-2ELITE8. Get behind the shield.
This is Dr. Tamia Gass with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the call to be born.
So we're back and we're talking to Dr. Taaka Cash. And this conversation has taken one of those left turns that you'll normally get on Boss Talk Radio. So, you know, it's about to go in for the long drive here. So before we went to break, we got into this thing about the genetic component and how we have generational traumas we're not even aware of. And it raised the question of how does that impact a person growing up actually in their adulthood, that they don't have access to that genetic field because they don't know that part of the family or that parent or what have you, or just in the economy as it is today, you don't have as much community, you know, where families within 10, 15 minutes, like people go out of state for opportunities or whatever. And so the family unit is just really spread apart. So how does a person first recognize that they're not in the normal, like what they're doing is just not the norm, and that they should really consider some counseling?
I got to be honest with you. A lot of the times people do not. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because they lack the level of awareness. There's something that's called window of tolerance, and we all have it. Okay. So once you've reached that threshold of window of tolerance and you've already been exposed to trauma, compounded with other trauma, compounded with what we have going on today, now we got complex post-traumatic stress disorder. All us walking around with PTSD. Okay. So once a person has trauma, let me break it down to you how trauma works. Got this little bulb and let me use my Shine Jam. All right. My Shine Jam. And I'm going to use my mascara. Okay. Listen, class 101. Okay. Class 101. All right. So there's something in your brain that's called the hippocampus. This is right here. It looks elongated just like this. And then there's something else in your brain that's called the amygdala. So the hippocampus' whole entire job is to be like your iPhone. it is going to record everything. It's going to take a picture. It's going to remember. It's like a filing cabinet, okay? Then you have this right here, which is your amygdala. Your amygdala is the one that's next door that's going, you know what? I'm all the fields. I got all the fields, all right? I'm talking about anger, irritability, aggression, agitation, rage, whatever. So y'all see these two, right? All right, so I take the lid off my jam, right?
Right.
So now you got the amygdala, it's next to your hippocampus. Now remember, your hippocampus remember everything. Now your lid on your amygdala is gone now. So just think about this, y'all. What's gonna happen if the lid on all the fields is gone?
Exposure.
You gonna explode.
Right.
You so exposed. You run around here, people like, oh my gosh, this is borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder. Like, what's wrong with you? You know? But what it is that no one has stopped to do what? To put the cap and put the lens back on. To put the lens back on. Okay? Because if you have the lid off and your amygdala is like this, remember the amygdala is like that best friend that always keep an eye on you and know everything. But once the lid is off, it seems bigger. So just imagine the hippocampus is bigger than what? The amygdala. But once you take all the fields off, it's going to remember that memory so big. Because remember, all the fields, you had it under control. But once it's off, it's just like, oh, you remember? I remember when you did X, Y, and Z. You ever notice when somebody get into a fight, they always go back to, I remember when you did X, Y, and Z. I what I said.
Dr. Cash, you ain't got to tell all my business out here like this.
We all do it, right? Because we don't remember nothing we said. Because we got all the fields, right? But we remember how large it was and how impactful it was in our life. Because it's bigger. The hippocampus is bigger.
My husband in the audience, but I'm surprised he ain't dropped no comments. But okay, so I want to talk to you about this, Dr. Cash, because most of the time we hear this thing all the time. We're women here. Well, you know what? I don't want to be the angry Black woman, so we trying to keep it cute. Like, I don't want to be the person that's going off. But you didn't you breaking it down because you like, look, you went back to 2005 or 2012, and they he's looking at me like, girl, I thought we was over this. You got healed from that. I'm like, I don't even know where that came from.
Right. It's trauma.
But it's so crazy. It's so funny because now just looking, like my eyes are just opening because when I start to even look, and because I work with people from a financial standpoint, it's just like, I was just in just a random conversation. They were just like, well, I'm just tired of being financially abused. I just be quiet. But then in the next two hours later, you're ready to just fire off. And so I just wonder, like what you're saying, because I feel like a lot of times that we just try to not be the angry Black woman in certain situations. And like you just said, when they get too close, you don't need no match, no gasoline or whatever. It's like, but this is your own explosion.
Exactly. So we're all a walking ball of explosion at any time. And this is why I tell people that rage it has no face. You know, all of us do it in traffic. We want to, cuss somebody out. Somebody hit me from the back the other day, and I'm glad he just tapped me, but I got out quickly. But when I got home, I thought, oh, he could have had, you know what?
Right.
He could have had some on him. You know what I mean? Don't do that no more, girl.
We in Texas, you know.
We in Texas. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But, when it comes to trauma, and especially when that you bring up another good point too. When it comes to the window of tolerance, your window of tolerance is tapped out because now you no longer have a lid. You no longer have a lid. And once you no longer have a lid for those things, you just kind of go like, boom, I don't want to engage. I detach. I move away from my family. I don't want to talk to nobody. Change my number 9, 10, 11 times. You have to start recognizing, and this goes back to George, what can you do once you get past a certain age and you can't recognize it?
Right.
Listen to seminars like this. You listen to podcasts like this, because we have to start acknowledging our shortcomings and start to undo the toxic cycles that we've not only created for ourselves, but that have been generationally passed on, Sharita.
And so the thing is like, I just had to, oh, Mom, don't kill me. We say this boss talk, this real radio. This is real conversation.
This real radio, okay?
Yeah, this real radio. But one of the things is, when you kind of circle back to what George said and just kind of talk about it, because you said that we just culturally we shy away from mental wellness, or, you know, we'll go get our teeth cleaned, we'll go do all the things, make sure our blood pressure in check, but we won't worry about the things that is increasing those things, that is tearing us down in the inside. But we always heard Black people don't get there, but we go to church.
And that's how we become the angry Black woman.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes, let me tell you, I'm gonna keep it real for all the boss talk people out there. Okay.
I know it's probably, oh, please don't delete us, y'all. I know some people on the church, they like, no, but I just can only say, because I'm from the hood too. I'm from the hood, and every Baptist church, every other block was a Walgreens and a church. And everybody said, we don't do that because that's not for us. That wasn't designed for us. We go to church, we pray about it, and we just wait on, we just wait, and y'all know what comes after that. But
I got to tell you, Sharita, in partnering with a lot of the community churches now, especially African-American churches, the pastors are starting to realize the importance of mental health. And they're starting to integrate mental health partners into the lessons of the day or the week, or even the program, or even their entire mission. Sometimes at my church, we have a whole mental health awareness month. And that's very important. A whole mental health awareness month.
See, we be waiting till why it's not preventative, doctor? Why we gotta wait till something wrong and somebody come in, they come to Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and that's don't say nothing to her. And she'll fire this thing off and change the whole thing, the whole situation here. But why, if we know that, why are we not using in implementing things like you just said? Because you know what, we have culturally become okay, and we are putting a Band-Aid when we know it's a problem. Because guess what we do? As soon as that person pack up their little and put their foil on their stuff and go home, what we do, we talk about why we keep bringing her every single year, or why we keep putting up with them every single, but we keep talking about it, but there's no real intervention. We just like, well, that's just how she is, or that's just how he is. He always been like that. But when are we going to have conversations like this, like you just said?
But Sharita, we're having it today. And that's the important thing, is that platforms like your own, platforms like mine, platforms like George, getting it out there. And what I'm starting to notice is that there are a lot of platforms who are starting to talk about mental health, because we're losing a lot of people in the industry on social media due to suicide. So now it's becoming a conversation at the table, especially for this generation. And when we do have our platforms, and when we do have the opportunity to talk about mental health, because let's keep it real, let's keep it a bug. We're all entrepreneurs. I'm tired, okay?
I got 10 days to think. Tired. Take out the R.
I see how people like, I'm not doing though, because I promised George. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. There are 12 pillars that I try to educate anyone on, and it's in my book called Be Contagious with Change. We focus on faith, family, friends, finances, communication, strength, leadership, support, trust, sex, fitness, mental health, and personality. So if you're off about 6 of them, you feeling already, okay? So it's really a self-check. It's to go, okay, well, what my finances look like? you know what? I really shouldn't have bought that Louis bag. I really need to sell it and get my money back, okay? And that's another thing. Don't go into the hole just for Christmas. Christmas is only one day out of the month.
Listen.
we gonna put it in park right about there. We gonna talk about this. We gonna talk about right today. So in the money mindset movement, Sharita had a post about whether or not you're a spender or a saver, and most people were saying, well, yeah, I'm a saver, or oh, I need to do better. And I was like, well, I used to be a saver, but I'm much better now, so I'm a spender. And people were like, wait a minute.
Wait, what?
Like, hold up, wait a minute. And I intentionally just kind of threw that out there like that so we could get the conversation going. But what I knew was that the way my mother trained me with money was like this, like you know, rainy day, you know, so it was a save. And even when there was spending, it was the whole like, well, you buy this in bulk to get this discount, so forth and so on. Unconsciously, I took that mentality into business. And so a lot of times when I needed to get things done, instead of spending money to get it done, I was trying to figure out how to do it, which was taking time away from my business. And when I opened my hand and started to kind of do a little bit of this, you know, when it came to different service providers, vendors, coaches, etc., one, it freed me up, except for it didn't, because it made me that much more busy, but busy from an income producing activity. And so that's what I meant when it came to me becoming a spender or what have you, because I started to realize that, hey, the best way to circulate this dollar and make this thing come around is just to find the people that do the things that I need done. You know, I'm not gonna question your price. This is what it is. Here you go. I'm not doing it, you know. So it made, I mean, business had literally the first time it was a challenge, but when I started that, overnight I had a 20% increase, and by overnight I mean and that year. Since then, it's just been like, wow, to the point where now my director of operations is inundated with all the sales calls and the things and the opportunities. They come like, yeah, first of all, don't call me with that. I don't do that no more. You know, having changed that mindset, I didn't want to take people away from the need to save. I just wanted to introduce a concept that, hey, if you question some of the things you were taught, you may find that there's different things for different situations, you know, that you have to apply accordingly. But I wanted us to talk about this money thing. So you tell us, like, I don't know the term for it, but
okay, wait.
Just call it trauma again. You know, the trauma of, if, you know, like all of us grew up in the hood, you know, and one of the things that I found typically in common is in my generation or my circle, the most successful of us have hit a bottom, whether it was by choice or not, whether it was being homeless or being imprisoned or whatever. You know, like, this may sound crazy. I remember when I made the choice to be homeless, like, I could have went home, but I had too much pride to go home. You know? So I was like, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna make it. So I slept in my car, you know, and things of that nature. That was I didn't realize it at the time, two-part trauma. One, daddy said, when you think you're as much man as me, you got to go. Well, I felt like I was a man, so I couldn't go back home. You know, and the other part of that was I was way too like, ooh, I'm not getting a check for how many days? Yeah, no, I'm not going to get a hotel room. I'm just going to catch the back seat of this car, you know, and catch a McDonald's zinc in the morning in the bathroom or so, you know. And I didn't realize that I was literally dealing with a two-part trauma. And I think that's common amongst a lot of people. Like, they don't really recognize what traumas they have.
Right. And I think, George, you just gave me so many things to talk about. So I'm going to try to reel it in. What I want people to understand our culture is that most African Americans who are entrepreneurs, we come from a background of trauma. The end. Okay? We already know what the bottom is, and now we heal. All right? So once you know and you've established what that bottom looks like, you have to make an executive decision how close to the bottom you want to go back to. Because my new bottom don't look like my old bottom in the hood.
Ooh, that's good. Right? Wait. That's a t-shirt. Wait.
There's a collection plate on that.
Wait. That's good.
Listen, my new bottom, because as an entrepreneur, your new bottom is, well, I can actually go to zero because I know I'm going to make X, Y, and Z for quarter 1, 2, and 3. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So once you start, I know that Sharita was saying, are you a saver or are you a spender? I'm a diversifier. My money in the bank ain't making me no money.
Come on.
I got stock in that bank and make money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If we want to get down to the numbers. All right. Now, if I'm going to take my money, I'm going to go, well, you know what? I could take $2,000 and buy some stock in X, Y, and Z. Let me see what's going on. Because then you can make a profit real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Turn around, take that $500, put it towards your rent. Put it toward a hotel room so you're not sleeping in your car. Okay? So even what I love about my new bottom is that fear doesn't exist.
Come on.
Y'all got to hear me when I say that. I'm not scared to go broke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
We just had this conversation. Wait a minute, on the last show. Oh, look at that.
It's a real thing. And he mentioned something very important. Your circle, and I know that you had a lot of my friends that have been on your podcast before. Jay Veal is one of our close friends. Watson, one of our close friends. And so you've had a lot of my friends that we actually talk to every day, not just like, hey, and bye. We hold everyone accountable. Mm-hmm. And our new bottom is different from our old bottom. Now, our new bottom, we look and we go, well, if I feel like this is my last $2,000, let me take this $2,000 and ask my other 3 friends if they'll match my $2,000 and we're going to put it on some property. Mm-hmm. That new bottom look different.
Come on.
Okay?
Like I'm gonna fight the urge, but I feel a petty coming on.
I'm just trying to say.
It would not be George on this Good Friday.
I'm just
going a little petty. This is why we do.
That's right, Sharita.
Petty profits.
That's just like
Dr. Cash.
Nitra just said in the comments. Nitra just said, God helps those who help themselves. She right. Okay.
What Bishop Jake said, we buy what we want and we beg for what I need.
I'm just saying, Dr. Cash said it. I'm just saying it in different words. But if your circle look like, hey, let's sky out to Miami and you on your last couple coins, choose better, choose a different circle, because the conversations, and I cannot drive this point home enough, the conversations are different. And if you commit to it inside of yourself, you don't have to worry about changing friends or, all of this stupid stuff about keeping it real. Get the hell out of here. Let me tell you something. When my circle had the most drastic change, had nothing to do with me saying, I don't want to be around these people, or I think it was as simple as this. I said, it was a friend of mine I reached out to about becoming a client. And like, I didn't know you did that. And it was like, we've seen each other 3 times in the last, I was like, okay. So I made a decision right in that moment. If you're going to talk to me, we're going to talk about taxes. That had a couple of effects. Number one, it sent me down this ridiculous education path to the point that I read code like people watch reality TV. The second part was people who should not have been in my circle walked out by themselves. To put them, they didn't want to have these conversations. But the people that I started to attract, they'd hear me talking and go, wait a minute. So let me ask about this. Let me ask about that. You know, and in turn, I'm able to have a conversation with them about their expertise as well, because I'm a learner. I'm a sponge. You know, I want all the perspectives. You know, now granted, most of that is so I have all the expert opinions to fight somebody with, but that's not the point.
Right.
Or the story is, your circle will have a great influence on your outcome. You know, one of my another one, boy, I'm being transparent today, but one of my other traumas was I got to get it done. I believed in this philosophy that if it was to be, it was up to me. Anybody in the audience that have that philosophy right now, let me just tell you, drop that shit off yesterday, because you won't get it done by yourself. It ain't gonna happen.
No.
You can only go this far. You can only be in, like, I'm a bad man. I can actually be in 2 places at one time, but I can't be in 4. That's the thing. You have limitations. Get the help, you know, and the help doesn't always mean like asking for a favor or whatever. It may mean investing in yourself, spending with somebody, you know, but I promise you, it'll never come back void, because the people that you attract, it'll change your circle for the better. You know, like Dr. Cash was just talking about some of the people that's been on the show. She's like, oh, these are my friends. You know, these are people that I talk to all the time. These are also how these people got on the show too, because as I work on the relationship with any one person, one of the questions I always ask is, who do you know that I should know? You know, and that opens up a whole nother conversation. You know, and it's easier to meet someone when you're associated with someone else they already trust, but you have to be trustworthy yourself. You know, so this is how the evolution kind of happens, and this is how you're able to see other perspectives that may help you realize, oh, this over here was trauma. I need to get some help. You know.
But you're exactly right. And when you learn new ways of thinking, when you place yourself in new situations, when you expose yourself to new opportunities, what you're doing is investing in a new mindset, pivoting. Right. I tell people all the time, where my little pivot sign at? Here you go, right here. Pivot! Okay? We're pivoting. All right, we're pivoting from toxicity. We're pivoting from laziness, lack of motivation, not being where you need to be. Okay, not exposing yourself to circles, asking for a favor. I tell my friends, if somebody asks me for something, no, ask me for an investment. Unless you know that I truly believe in you, because if you ask me for a favor, I ain't gonna believe that you're gonna give me my money back.
Ooh, I ain't gonna even touch that one today. Because I get the calls all the time. You know, well, I hear that you're a part of an investment group, and you know, but I have this thing in it, and they don't understand the conversation that follows. You know, because I'm gonna ask a couple of key questions. If you can't get past those, like, we don't even need to have this conversation.
Exactly.
And it usually starts with, what have you done so far? And a lot of times,
I'm finna walk while you're talking, because I'm finna show you what walking and talking means, and to your example of what you're about to say. But carry on.
Yeah, and oftentimes what I find is they simply haven't done the work, but they're not really looking for help. They're looking for, I don't know what they're looking for, because it's like you've done nothing. You've done absolutely nothing, and you're asking for somebody else to have more belief in you than yourself. And I always say, well, hey, when you've literally done everything you can and there's nothing else for you to do, I guarantee you before you hit that point, the help you're looking for, the door you're trying to walk through, it's going to open because you've walked toward it.
Right.
Tia said earlier, God helps those who help themselves. Unless you've done that walk and put in that work, I promise you, before you run out of things that you're capable of doing, an opportunity is going to come up to help you go to the next level.
Exactly. And to your point, what we're talking about today, the proof is in the pudding. So make sure whoever you work with is qualified. You see how, George got a little sign up there. I said, he ain't gonna be the only petty one today. We're gonna put up these qualifications today, okay? We're gonna make this a new black normal. We're gonna put some qualifications. We qualified up here. Where yours, Sharita?
That's what we're doing today?
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
We qualified, okay?
It's Sharita Humphrey Day.
All right. We qualified over here, all right?
So, y'all know I only bring the SMEs to Boss Talk Radio. If they're on here, it's no fluff. You're not going to get the fluff on here.
And also, I wanted to answer your question. One of the biggest things in regards to how people can change the way that they think in their thought process. These are all new books that I purchased that's just in the last 2 months alone. These two shelves.
Wow.
I spent about $3,000 on books. Harvard's business law, boom, boom, boom. This ain't even in my field, but I need to know what Harvard talking about. You get what I'm saying?
George, did you not just post that in my group? Talking about which Harvard listen. This was supposed to happen because I made a post. What are y'all reading? And George was dropping nuggets and gems. Like,
baby, let me tell you something.
There
are so many new books that are just top runners. I tell people the reason that I know as much as I do is because I stepped outside of my own discipline and became qualified because I read something that our ancestors fought to do back in the day. You cannot be lazy with.
Oh, Lord Jesus. I love our ecosystem.
Let me try to tell you, okay?
You're going to go ahead and pass the collection plate because that was the whole sermon right there. And you saw the proof.
You see the proof behind me?
I can do this so y'all can get a glimpse of some of this stuff behind me.
You see the proof?
That's this side.
You got to show them now. You got to show them the proof, okay?
This is what we do. And this is what I like. Okay, so let me say this. Well, first and foremost, if there's any young people that's watching this or watching the playback, and if you're watching the playback, let me know where you're watching from and everything. Put your name and StreamYard so we can properly shout you out. But for any young people out there, if you're being called the nerd and this and that and the other because you're delving in education or you have a natural intuitive thing to learn, take it as a badge of honor because you will acquire wealth in the process. Just pursue knowledge. Always pursue knowledge, because at the moment you stop growing, you might as well die. You serve no other purpose after that. So that was the first part. But the next part is when you say, man, people fought for your opportunity to just be able to read. So I wouldn't be George if I ain't talk about this part right here.
Let me go get my clip. Let me see it on my tea.
For those of y'all who are going to Facebook University, getting your Google doctorate,
he said a Google doctorate,
and your master's in YouTube Shorts, you cannot become a subject matter expert using those tools. You got to do the work. You got to go buy the books. You got to read the.
Oh my God!
Like Dr. Cash just showed you, where she has just the books. That was just what she bought in the last month or so. But here's the other thing she did. She didn't just buy it. She read them. She put in the work. So yeah, y'all see me clown or whatever on social media, but best believe the camera's not on or whatever. I'm reading the book. I'm reading some article or whatever in my space. I belong to the American Bar Association, EA associations, all kind of different stuff. And I'm just pulling all of this information and then making it culturally relevant to my clientele, to my listeners. And, once I escaped that savior mentality where felt like I had to save the world or whatever, well, my bank account rewarded me for it. So, but guys, do the work. Educate yourself. Just change your discipline. When somebody tells me they can't afford, what I hear is I haven't decided.
Right.
It's just different self-talk. If you saw this post I put out yesterday, it was yesterday or the day before. Some people are going to say I'm bragging. Some people are going to say, well, you hadn't really, done nothing. That's not really doing nothing. What nobody knew at the time was that I had felt guilty about the vacation I had just come off of because I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do before I left, and my workload was piling up or whatever. So when I came back, I had a guilt complex, not to mention I lost my phone while I was out there and, had to go in the store and buy a new phone and everything. So I was like kicking myself, and I took a moment and stepped back and I looked at all the stuff I did in 2021. I was like, well, damn. Yeah, you can afford to kind of take a chill pill, take it down a notch, you're good, and like Doc said, that was another example of the trauma,
It is. And I think a lot of the times we are often scared to, step out, but we're in the Dallas area. So for anyone that's in the Dallas metroplex, around in the suburbs and the rural, I don't care if you live in the country. You can pick any corner that you want in DFW, okay, and make money. There is not one person in DFW. This is me, and I'm a person who's gone down there, visited the homeless. I've gone down, I have literally been all over the world. Y'all, Dallas to me is one of the most entrepreneurial, culturally, just the spaces where you can cultivate what you want in that space. I am in South Lake, a Black woman in South Lake with a business. Me and Benasia over here, Benasia Watson, she's in this space. So, but that goes to show you what money do. You know what I'm saying? What your circles can do. Not only that, I was telling my great artist in this space is the Erica Norwood, and she is of Caucasian descent, and she is amazing, but she is also an ally to the African American, to us. And when you're partnering with other people, you're partnering with them and the people that they partner with. Okay, when you're good to people, and energy is everything for me. So when I'm over here in this space, and I was over in Grapevine for years, and then I'm just now coming over to South Lake, it's a brand new dynamic, a brand new ball game, and definitely comes with a different dollar price. Okay.
At least it's different.
We paying mortgages over here for leasing space. Okay. So it truly, but it comes down to mindset and your mental health. If I felt that I was not ready, if I felt that I was not ready to position myself, if I felt like I wasn't ready, especially with all of the racial undertones that are going on right now in present day South Lake, that is a space for me to bring a level of awareness. Sharita and George, we invite you to this space. If you ever want to use our headquarters for anything that you want to do, whether that be, volunteering, or if you want to bring your show over here, just so that you can get the word out, we're creating space and opportunities for people who look like us. Because I got to tell you, I love all my neighbors down here. No one's trying to keep me from over here. Create the spaces for you. Step out. Don't be scared. Scared money don't make no money.
Say it one more time.
Scared money don't make money. Okay.
And I have to amen that. I have to amen the Dallas part, because I have this discussion often. I was one of the, and I was a kid, so I'll say my parents were one of the early Atlanta migrants. Wasn't our thing. We came back to New Orleans or whatever, but I always see every spring and summer this mass exodus of African Americans going to Atlanta as though it's the promised land. And I will tell you this, and I will say it without apology. And if you get mad, I don't care. Turn me off. Here's the reality. It is not a promised land. Right. If it's in you, you can be anywhere. Now, being somewhere that's advantageous is always smart, but let's look at some of the early signs of why Dallas is better. Well, the Metroplex is kind of set up kind of the same as Atlanta, except for here, there's a more collegiately collaborative mindset. You know, it's not that all about me. Here's the other difference, though. You don't have the vulture culture, meaning that people here are not, okay, well, if I help you, you know, I want this amount or percentage or whatever the case may be. Because I've been in a real live Shark Tank when I wanted to open a business in Atlanta and just say, the way they came back to me is like, so I'm about to invest in a job? No. But here, the difference is you can't be fake either. You have to bring something, you know, and that something doesn't necessarily have to be money, but it always has to be value. I'll say that again for the people in the back. For the ones that bring something. Okay. What you have to bring isn't always money, but it always has to be value. Without that, you can't get into the room.
You cannot
get into the conversation.
You can't buy yourself into certain rooms.
Right. You know, the people that I'm allowed to talk to, the Sharitas, the Dr. Cashes, and several other people we've named on the show, people you've seen on the show, I'm able to talk to those people because I bring value, you know. And so if you are always in a mindset of what can I get out of this? Right. Or what's in it for me? That's everybody's favorite radio station, right? WIIFM. What's in it for me? If you operate in that space, you're going to find that it's harder to get into the room. Value and service is the key. Right. Value and service. What can you do for somebody else? What value do you provide to any organization or whatever that you've been in? A lot of the business owners that I talk to, they struggle in business because of the transition from the employee mindset when you operated in the mindset of how can I do the least for this check? And you can't have that mindset in business. It's not going to work, you know. So you have to be willing to give of yourself. You know, the people that I'm privileged to talk to, the flip side of what you don't see is they have access to me. These are those people don't need to go hit my calendar and, you know, do a consult or whatever. They have access to me. And when they call me, I may not have the answer, but because of my ecosystem, I can either get the answer or send them in the right direction. So I still added value. I don't know if I'm making this point clear enough. Can y'all help me preach?
You made it plain. And
go ahead, Sharita.
Dr. Cash kept talking. We always talk ecosystem. You guys never heard us say network. I said and I tell the people that's in my group all the time that there's a difference between having a network and an ecosystem.
You preach.
And it's no network. I got a bunch of business cards, but my ecosystem, I know that if George, I don't have to send an email. I can call him. I text him. He's going to I become a priority. Shout out to my brother for speaking my name in the room because I've been able to multiply my efforts without having to step into other rooms and have to pay for other things. So I'm in Texas serving people in Philadelphia because my brother spoke my name in the room. So it's different things that's the point of the ecosystem. They're built-in sponsors. There's people when someone is saying, well, who do you need to talk to? So guess what we say? You need to call George. You need to call Dr. Cash. They don't have to reference check and do Google reviews, because if you said it, if they know the ecosystem, that's it.
Right.
That's it. So that's why it's so important what you were saying, Dr. Cash, about it's some things you just can't pay. You can pay to get in the room, but can you stay? It doesn't mean you ever gonna get to the head of the table. You can't pay your way to the head. You have to serve your way there. Our thing is serve, serve, give. Not serve, not ask.
Mm-hmm. Well, hit the rewind button on that one.
That was good. This need to be a 2-part series.
That's what I just said. See, that's what I said. So, y'all,
this is good stuff. Because what you said regarding the ecosystem is that when you're in an ecosystem, those are people who are cultivating mentorship. Right. You know, you may have a mentee, you may have someone that you can actually, go to and say, okay, hey, yo, can I borrow your master plan? And they'd be like, okay, cool. They already on the rights, they ain't tripping. Right. I would not be where I am right now with Privy Oasis, Psych Connect Online, and all of the other businesses that I have if I did not have other partners. People who were willing to partner with me, people who believed in me, my character, and that goes with mental health instability. I'm gonna tell you right now.
You did it all yourself. You started last week, and now you're a millionaire. And you
it don't
did
work
it all
like
by yourself. No, that's what Instagram said.
Instagram told them that. But I'm here to tell you, a person who's a real entrepreneur will tell you $1 million ain't nothing. Okay, we can make that over and over and over again. All right, it's nothing. Like literally, it's more like, okay, what's sustainable? Where's the sustainable income? What's disruptive about it? How am I changing and pivoting? So if the world is constantly asking for change, if the world is constantly asking for pivots, why would you yourself remain stuck in a mental trap that has no progression, where you're not going anywhere? You're not doing anything. You're just doing that little mouse wheel over and over and over again. And you never get to truly either get involved with a network and or graduate to an ecosystem. But that comes with your mindset. I am all about pivoting to peace. I'm always about pivoting to profit and process. Okay? Peace, process, and profit. Okay? So if that is what you need to do, you may have to outgrow some old things, and you truly have to shed yourself. When I'm sitting in my executive hat, that is a molded, cultivated person of a multitude of mentorship around me. So the person that you see right now before you today is a person that has been just challenged by the best of them. My first mentor told me, he betted me $1,000 to start this company. $1,000. He was like, I see you got red bottoms on. Take $1,000 to build a company. That was in 2013. Okay. And so now we have psychconnectonline.com, where you guys can get accessible care, timely care, safe care with board certified psychiatrists, board certified psychiatric nurse practitioners, board certified psychologists who do psychological testing. And that's a whole nother show we got to do on it regarding the differences in all the disciplines, because a lot of the times I think our culture thinks that we can go to our primary care to get help, or we can go to, just any other discipline to get care. And that is not the case. You want to make sure that you're going to see a psychologist, even though they may be more expensive, but they are the ones that are going to give you that verifiable diagnosis. And that's why we've actually integrated, cut the cost, triple. We are taking on the burden of that so that my people can actually have culturally relevant and sensitive care that looks just like them.
I have 3 points I want to hit because I think people missed that challenge that Doc put out there. Did y'all catch it? Dr. Cash challenged all of y'all to take $1,000 and open a business You know, and if you don't have $1,000 by the end of the year to do that, you're probably going to get an income tax refund. And I think she said that if you have red bottoms or 5-6 pair of Jordans, that's not what she said. Oh, what I heard. Okay, that's what I thought.
No, that's the exact truth. Like for example,
if you're in the club spending $300 for a $40 bottle of alcohol, you know, I ain't saying you're crazy. I'm just saying you're out of excuses. Like, don't be the dude in the club and then come ask me for 10 grand for, you know, an investment or whatever. It ain't gonna happen.
Or we can even, you know, George, to your point, instead of getting kids, you know, dolls and all this stuff that they're never going to use probably again.
She about to go there. She about to go there.
Go there, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is something, there are two things I want you guys to do. There are a lot of people who are in need of mental health care. Buy them a session. So you know how you want to get gift cards? We do that at We do that at psychconnectonline.com. If you feel like I got a message right before I got on your show, you know, hey, I don't know how to help my friend. She, you know, is having increased suicide, you know, going to Christmas, blah, blah, blah. What can I do? Boom. This is an easy, non-confrontational way to say, listen, this is my Christmas gift to you. Also, take that $1,000 that you would have given to your children, put it into stocks, put it into bonds. You know, they even got Turo out there. Go out there and have your 16-year-old son buy his first $1,000 car and put it on Turo and have somebody to rent. He got a little change in his pocket. He ain't borrowing from you no more. You know, so it's just, there are just a lot of different ways that we can actually monetize our own pockets and not just be robbing Peter to pay Paul. We want to rob profit so we can pay for peace. Okay. That is the theme for 2022.
Sharita, did you just catch that other challenge? I could be wrong, but it sounded like Dr. Cash just.
I mean, in the comments, though, look, I'm moderating and co-hosting.
Okay, because it sounded like she said, like she challenged our entire business community to just buy one session. And I'm going to show you how that's going to go. I'm not going to tell you how to allocate that thing. I don't even know what Doc's rates are or whatever, but I'm going to offer you even this. If you don't, you know, want to buy a full session, I think she said they have gift cards on there or whatever. If you care about somebody, maybe you're a narcissist, I don't know. So you may need to buy it for yourself, but, you know, go and buy somebody a gift card and let them unlock their mind, unlock that trauma that they're experiencing or whatever. Because I just had a whole thing. I was kicking myself just the other day, like, oh man, I didn't get this done in time for it to be shipped out for my clients for Christmas or whatever. She just gave like, you know what? How many pins, keychains, and water bottles they're going to use anyway? Well, let me introduce this concept into their lives or whatever. And
actually, no, you know what, George? We're actually having a millionaires brunch on January 30th of 2022. We're going to have 5 celebrities. 4 of them are going to be local. And they're coming in and they're talking about the importance of mental health and their millions. And also the point is when you buy a ticket, the proceeds are actually going to go back into our community for mental health. So for all of those who cannot afford mental health, we have a whole pot that we're all going to be putting together. So even if you buy those gift certificates for me, you know, or even for your friends, or if you want to donate, we are creating this pot for school districts, for Black families, to make sure that they have accessible care so that your local payer doesn't get in the way, your state payer doesn't get in the way, your federal payer doesn't get in the way. You have funds and you also have qualified professionals who can help you through the season.
It sounds like Doc said, I ain't going to just talk about it. I'm going to show y'all what we're doing to serve. Because earlier, Sharita said you have to serve to get to the next level. That sounds like a whole lot of service right there.
Oh, Roger said he needs the details. So Roger, so let me tell you a little bit about it. I can let you guys know who one of the keynote speakers is. Oh my God. Her name is the Essay Azenabor. So if you are familiar with Essay Azenabor, she is of Nigerian descent and she is here local to Dallas. Oh my gosh, if you go to her Instagram, some of the most beautiful wedding gowns, affordable attire. She was at the Dallas when we went, George, when we said we went to the Dallas, what was it? Not the Dallas luncheon. I always want to call it the Dallas luncheon.
Night of Stars.
Yeah, the Night of Stars. So we all were at the Dallas Night of Stars, and she was at the table with us, and it was phenomenal to see so much Black excellence in the room. But while we were there, those tickets were like $500. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is actually a charity event too. So to see these people purchasing things that were like $20,000, $30,000, and I'm like, I love $500, whoa, okay. So that ain't, it really puts you into the mindset.
Do y'all see how stuff keeps looping back around? Because sometimes we put a principle out there. It might sound difficult to gravitate to, but did you just see the example of she was able to buy the ticket to get into the room, but just being in the room changed her mental about what she should be doing in the room.
Because I'm over there seeing Essay go, oh, 15,000. I was like, what we buying? And so I was like, so when you see so many Black people that are able to, that have residual resources. Now for us, it's a tax write-off, y'all. So, and when we say tax write-off, we want to use our money for good things and not allow the government to take our money and do what he want to do with it. And, or we end up having to pay taxes. So for those that don't think that when we're giving back for those reasons, because I would rather for my money that could potentially be taxed to go back to the community instead. So it's really, George, what you and Sharita are doing about educating the community regarding not only finances, but opportunities, placing yourself in the spaces, or even, with my platform, Tea Talk with Taaka, it's a social media platform where I actually have brunches and lunches to educate our community about business dynamics. How can you get into business? Surrounding yourself with mentorship, obtaining a mentee. There are so many people that are in the room. And so with these millionaire brunches that we're having, you are going to be front and center. It's VIP only. So that means that we only have a selected slot of people that we're going to sell tickets to that will be able to come to the headquarters that you guys were able to see here. And it's a beautiful luncheon. And we used to have them all the time prior to COVID. And so now this is a beautiful way to give back to our community, especially with the recent school shooting. That's really what prompted me to just go hard with the next one, because I was just like, no, why is it that I'm getting these phone calls that our people cannot afford mental health care? We have to get creative about this. We have to get our businesses together. We have to create and cultivate that ecosystem so that we can have resources already available and funded here, so that when they call, boom, we just assign you to someone. If you need a Black man, boom, we got you. We got you a Black psychologist. You need a Black psychiatrist, boom, we got you. You need a Black nurse practitioner, boom, we got you. Medication management and/or therapy, psychological testing, we do it all in-house. So
did y'all catch those 3 points though? I want to make a U-turn because I think somebody might have missed that. Part one was, as we like to say, in the hood, we're going to talk about it, we're going to be about it. But
exactly,
Dr. Cash just demonstrated what self-actualization looked like.
That part.
She saw a problem and she didn't say they should do something or somebody should fix this or address this or look for a place to assign blame. She said, what can I do? Reached out to her ecosystem and got it done.
Right.
That was the first part. Second part, did y'all catch that you can't just buy a ticket, you got to be selected to buy a ticket? That's why I tell y'all,
right there.
It's not how much you make, it's how much you can keep. Because by keeping, let me tell you something. The minute you figure out making money ain't shit, like at that moment when that connects in your mind, the floodgates of money is just going to come. The bigger problem is, how do I masterfully use this money to benefit others? And when you figure that out, you will not be able to shut off the faucet. It just works that way. I don't know why. I haven't been here that long. It just works that way, So I wanted y'all to catch these points that she was dropping, because we talked about it earlier, But then she's showing you the action steps and what that looks like, because somebody might be feeling right now like, well, I want to do something, but I don't have $500 for a ticket, or, well, I want to be in business, but I need a mentee or a mentor rather. And the thing is that you don't have that mentor yet because you didn't buy that $15, $20, $30 book to read enough to equip yourself enough to be in the room where the mentor is. You know, like if I have a property question, you know, or especially when it comes to investing, yeah, I got 10 or 15 realtor clients, but there's one person I'm calling, you know. And this is just how this works, because when you see somebody do something at its top level or whatever, it's like, okay, this is the authority in that space. You know, that's why a lot of times y'all see me argue about something petty online, but when it comes to tax matters or whatever, you ain't about to see me go back and forth with nobody on that. I do this. Like the proof is in the pudding. As they say in the car business, show me the baby. I got the babies, you know? So I want y'all to take these nuggets, man. Like, Doc, you killing it today.
I got to add one more thing. I want for all of the entrepreneurs to understand that having an accountability partner in a CPA or someone who is prudent in taxes and finances is so essential. Why? Because it keep you out of jail. All right. So I can remember, mind you, I told you I had some great mentors. So my first CPA, and he's been my CPA since 2013, he made me write everything by hand. And so mentally, we as African Americans, we have a fear of money and numbers. I can remember being young going, I don't know this algebra. I don't know how to do this. And now my CPA is telling me in order to be a CEO, you got to understand your money and where it's going and when you losing it. Because the first time you missing that $2, I'm going to need for you to find them $2.
I'm done.
No, that was a real life situation. I was missing $2 and he said, find it.
Doc, let me tell you. So for those of you who may be tuning in for the to Boss Talk Radio for the first time, BOSS is actually an acronym. It's Business Operating Success Strategies. And that's why we bring subject matter experts on to talk about not only what they do and what they offer and be an authority in their space, but to also talk about how entrepreneurship is not necessarily always glamorous, you know, and their road to, because a lot of times it seems like, you know, they got success quick. And I will tell you that, no, that's not how none of that works. But in that process, somebody told me, and it was a crazy thing, I was looking to hire a producer for the show. And one of the things they told me was, hey, well, when I tune into Boss Talk Radio, I never know what I'm going to get, what you guys are going to talk about. And because you're a tax professional, more of the show needs to be about taxes. I say, I don't need to do that. And here's the reason why. Number one, bringing other subject matter experts into this platform helps educate people on different things. Taxes is only so interesting for so long. Number two, I have yet, it's never happened. I've never had a guest on the show that ultimately didn't say at some point in business that conversation about a tax professional had to be had. It's automatic. I don't have to talk about it. It's going to come up.
But it's so important because the importance of mentorship, and I'm so grateful for all of my mentors, Dr. Strahan, you know, I had David, Alia Derrick, who is a super attorney out of Dallas. My team has just been phenomenal. And I have the same team I've had since 2013 when I was a youngin' coming out. And they cultivated me and they told me, you don't need that, you need this. Like literally I didn't have to figure out a lot of stuff. Like in the beginning, they were like, we done already did all the dirty work, okay? We done already went over the hills. Why are you trying to go through them hills, girl? You ain't at the bottom, you here. So start here, right? So they gave me all of these tools and they said, you gotta get a CPA. You gotta have your attorney. You have to have your HIPAA attorney. When I tell you my best money is in my attorneys and my CPAs, it is just, and also Don't be stingy with yourself as an exec. You have to spend money on yourself. You have to spend money on your, I just took y'all on a tour through here. You could tell I put some money into this, right? You cannot be stingy with the profits. Take them profits, pour it back into your business, and then you diversify. You know what I mean? The growth is going to come.
Rewind button. Hold on. We went past that part too fast. Where's the rewind button? That part right there. When she say don't be stingy, she don't mean go out and buy Louis bags for yourself.
That's not what I said.
Not the red line.
Hit him with it one more time, Doc.
Literally what I'm saying is don't be stingy with yourself as an executive in your business dynamics. If you're scared to step out, the whole point of profits is to scale, to be sustainable. And I went from a small, clinic down the street in Grapevine, and here I am now into this huge clinic. And this is my fifth building. So now I'm down the street in South Lake. Never thought I would be in South Lake. And now I'm here. So I'm here to tell you that if you do it right, the right way, do not cut corners. Even if the sacrifice is you having the $0 in the bank, you be happy with that $0 in the bank because you're not in jail, you're not in orange. Okay? Like for all those people who got them PP loans and all that extra stuff they ain't supposed to have no business getting.
We're doing a part 2. Can we go ahead and get that? Look, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Dr. Cash. That was just, you don't know what we've been talking about.
I promise y'all, we don't prep for this. We don't have,
we don't have a run a show, y'all.
Like, no, seriously, like that even goes back to your mental, like mentally, when my CPA was telling me, my CPA had a conversation with me, just like I'm pretty sure George, Sharita, I have conversations with your clients. He was like, now look, this is what could happen. You going to jail. Okay. I ain't come up with them numbers and I ain't going down for you. That's my CPA is a thug about it. Okay. He sent out this whole entire email and was like, I ain't going to jail for nobody. Your numbers is your numbers. If you falsify them numbers, that's on you. But when the IRS come to me, I'm going to give them exactly what I did. Okay. You're going to have to show proof because you're going to jail. So because he says you're going to jail all the time, in my mind, I go, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to steal from myself. It's not worth it to falsify information. Your numbers are going to grow. Use those numbers. Let me tell you, more banks will work with you in authenticity. Now, there's some out there that just don't want to work with you at all, okay? But most bankers and most investors will work with you if you are organic and authentic. For me, for the first 8 years, I didn't take out any loans. I used all my money, all my profits. I ain't have to. I started my business with literally.
It's not me telling y'all this, so hey, y'all hear it from me, and y'all like, oh, George always preaching.
Dr. Cash, let me go ahead and give you your roses, tulips, and everything. My group and my messenger and my text bar is blowing up. They like, look.
You too.
They like, wait a minute. When is
they need to get lunch and tell them to buy them tickets so the mental health, so we can get the kids and the families. And the thing about our packages at Privy Oasis and Psych Connect is that our packages are created for the Black family, like for any family, meaning like if you want your uncle and your kids, and we all need to get help, but you need individual help, okay, buy a package that has about 12, 15, sessions in it, and y'all can break it up. Y'all can break it up. We have come up with so many creative ways for our people to get care, to get help. Now we just giving it away, basically. So y'all, listen, the help is here. Do not shortchange yourself on how important your mental health is in everything that you do. I cannot be the exec that I am. George can't, Sharita can't. I'm trying to tell you, we wake up every morning struggling. Okay? Some mornings I wake up more happy. But this morning was a struggle, okay? But I still came here. So it goes to show you that you truly have to have life and balance, and that if you're mentally off as an exec, it affects, I'm trying to tell you, it affects the dynamics. It affects my shows. It affects whether I'm going to show up, whether I'm going to go to a speaking engagement. I'm trying to tell you, I tell people I have to prep 3 days before a show. to make sure my mind, I don't even talk for the first 8 hours during a show because my mindset has to be truly ingrained in the process because it's a mental transition to who I'm talking to. And I wanted to make sure that anyone that I'm talking to, especially George and Sharita, that I'm truly present for the conversation. So you truly have to pour into yourself, pour into the mentorship that you need. Do not be afraid to break the bank to invest in you. Because I'm trying to tell you.
Say that again.
Don't be afraid to break the bank to invest in you. It's an investment. Let me tell y'all something. Here go another little tip. Y'all are really going to love this one. This is something that we say in our group all the time. This is with me, Benasia, Gilbert. We have Irene. Our circle is so big, Jay. And we'll go, you know what? It is easier. You have to stay ready. There are two things. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Remember that. And that's in mindset, tool, tactics. In every single thing that you do. Okay? Broke money don't make money. So broke money don't make money. Actually, I got a few that we always use. And just don't be afraid to go broke. Don't be afraid. Because for us, we try to hold on. We try to hold on to it. But guess what? Those profits are going to go. They're going to grow and they're going to come if you invest the right way. You have to invest in yourself. You cannot be afraid to do that. So in our at our brunches, you truly educate regarding what needs to happen for you. It is a mindset shift. George will tell you, Sharita will tell you, you got to change your mindset. What if I did this? Why can't I listen, if a white person come to me, you already wasting my time. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and convince you. That's not my job. Now I will assign you to one of our therapists, but I'm not going to, I ain't got a year like that. I need a person that comes and say, here's my idea. How is it going to be effective? How is it disruptively innovative? What is it going to do for the economy? Have you done a community assessment? That's a new word. Y'all write it down now, community assessment. Have you done all of those things? Do you know the demographics? Have you driven around and looked and seen how many CVSs are on your street? I need to know if you know what you're talking about. So you truly have to pivot. You have to pivot that mindset. And if you don't, you'll end up circa 2000 version of yourself.
Strong. Somebody say go to church. I'm just gonna say amen to that there. And because the reality is hey, at the end of the day, if you find that your growth is marginalized, your circle isn't changing, you're still looking for clientele or whatever, know this is something you're doing and you need to identify it and fix it. And Dr. Cash said something way earlier in the broadcast. If you're just tuning in and don't get anything else from this, you need to get this. She said, you cannot do this yourself. Specifically, when she said it, she was discussing the mental health part. And I don't want y'all to get bent out of shape about that term when we say health and, mental health. Look, if you go to the gym, you're interested in your physical health. If you're talking to me or Sharita, you're interested in your financial health. At the end of the day, none of that matters if this part is not clear and functioning at a high level and able to identify and escape the trauma. Like she said, it's built into your genetic code. So you may not even understand why you're doing it, but it needs to be identified. She just told you 15 reasons that you don't have an excuse not to get this help that you may need, and understand that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to try to get this here in this last minute or two that we have. Help does not mean there's a problem. Help does not mean weakness. Help does not mean a handicap or an inability on your part, but it simply means you want to almost as just a community, like move a step forward. You know, if you listen to some of the names that go on in this power brunch that they're having, these are all people you've seen on the show. These are all people that have given you the same message time and time again. You know, so maybe you can't take it coming from me because I'm a bit of a, you know, but that doesn't change the fact that it's real. So please look for the help that you need. Want to leave you guys with last thoughts on this. So we're going to go to Sharita and then go to Dr. Cash. And Dr. Cash has a book. So I'm trying to get this on the screen while we go into some final thoughts here. I lost my place on this little sidebar thing here. I don't know where I'm at, but go ahead, Sharita.
Okay, so I'm going to say I've went to church early. This is a Sunday message. This is a Sunday word. Dr. Cash, you brought the whole message. This is a Good Friday, for real. For real. But it was the part, there were two things that you said that about how important it is to invest into your loved one's mental wellness this holiday season.
Right.
And stop giving them gifts that that's not going to heal them. I thought that was so powerful. So if nothing else, y'all join me, George and Dr. Cash, in making that investment that will go much further than any gift that you can buy from your favorite retailer. But lastly, I love what you just said, George. Asking for help does not mean it's a problem or that you are broke or broken. Because a lot of times I was a person who was afraid to ask for help, but it was people like my big brother here and Jay who was saying, sis, we got you. And sometimes it's hard for us as women to say, Dr. Cash, I got you, girl. When you come to Houston, I got you. But sometimes that is always an issue, especially when it comes to what they would say two alpha females. But I just want to let you know, you've blessed me on this day. This has been absolutely amazing. I hope that we can do a part 2 of this because you have done so much good for this show, for the people listening. The comments are blowing. And when I literally was saying, so if you saw me looking down, Dr. Cash, it was just because I'm trying to monitor the comments here, monitor the ones in the group. So the people that are in my group, just thank you so much. So I just want to be able to say they definitely want you to come back. And I, as the co-host, would love to see you back.
And Doc posted a book here, Tools of Titan by Tim Ferriss. Did I get that right?
Yes. So you asked the question in regards to how people can get started. I love this book by Tim Ferriss. If you talk to any person who is in entrepreneurship or that is a millionaire, you know, it literally, this is the book that they have used. So basically this book is about the tactics, routines, and habits of billionaires, icons, and world-class performers. The importance of this book is that he don't start out with just, oh, let me tell you how to do blah, 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 how to make money. He starts out with mental health, wellness, and physical fitness. And he actually gives you like actual pictures in here of what to do, what not to do. It's a lifestyle. Being in the seats that we're in, this is a lifestyle.
Not a destination. Success is not a destination. It is a lifestyle. Oh, can we need a banner with that one on it.
I know, a whole hashtag.
Like, it is not, if in your mind you think you're going to a place called success, you will never arrive.
And once you get there, you're gonna find your own personnel. Okay. And then I also wanted to give those who are new beginners and you just don't know how to pivot your mindset. The first book that one of my friends gave me was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is actually the book that was life-changing to me, that changed my mindset coming from the hood to now I'm in, a different place. I completely learned how to personally challenge myself and my mindset to undo the toxicity or the badness or the traumas or the things that were associated with my childhood that may not be beneficial as an exec. Also, to Sharita's point and George's point, the crucial conversations that we need to have in the African American community. Make sure that you guys
on this one.
listen. This is like the tools for talking when the stakes are high. So if you are a person who don't like to take risk or losing people or losing money, this may not be the book for you. But if you're a person who are an entrepreneur and you truly don't know how to have that executive crucial conversation with someone without it being petty, then this is the book for you, because sometimes we have to modify our language, okay? Because we are passionate people now. So sometimes we have to modify our language to make sure that we're still giving grace and that we're handling our people with care. We're not trying to crucify anyone. We're just trying to challenge you.
Okay, she's talking to me with that part. She was trying to tell me how to fall back.
No. I love you. I love you. And then also, now, y'all gonna love this, Sharita and George, okay? So this book is called How to Love a Black Man. And I know, right? I love it. This is by Dr. Ron Elmore. He's an African-American man. And he also has a book out there that's called How to Love a Black Woman. In these books, I tell anyone who is non-Black, who truly needs to understand our culture, how our men work, how our women work, to purchase his books, because he tells you what Black men are and what they are not. And this is a great piece for I think Sharita mentioned the term, the angry Black woman and, all of that. This dismantles all of that. You know what I mean? Because we're not that. This is probably related to a trauma. So he's a psychologist, and I love his books because they truly challenge us to really change the narrative and the dynamics of how we engage with one another, how we as Black men and women engage with one another. And that right there has helped me also as an exec in my working relationships and my ecosystems with working with Black men and Black women in an entrepreneurship space. To Sharita's point, when you have a lot of alphas in the room, it's like, okay, well, I can concede now. I don't necessarily have to be challenged in this moment. And my last book that I want you guys to purchase is How to Stop the Pain. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Did y'all catch that? This is by Dr. James B. Richards. So for all of those that may be struggling, and this is a first Christmas, we have lost so many different people, y'all. And you just don't understand why. The pain will always be there, but you don't have to suffer. That is optional. Whether that be substance abuse, addiction, depression, whether we've lost someone to COVID, my best friend, she lost her father yesterday. So I truly want you all out there, especially us within the African American sector. We know that pain has been there. We know that generational trauma has been there, that it exists. We don't have to suffer in it. That's optional. So you can pivot and you can change and you can transform your life into the person that you truly desire to be. So this book right here is a life changer, is a lifesaver. It's by Dr. James B. Richards. And I yield the floor back to you.
Dr. Cash failed to mention that she also has a book.
I do.
I was going to let you get away without talking about that.
Oh, I mentioned it earlier. So my book, Be Contagious with Change, is coming out in 2022. I've been working long and hard on this book for a few years because really I challenged my friends to do this with me. So we really had to put it to the test, the principles of faith, family, friends, finances, communication, strength, leadership, support, trust, sex, fitness, mental health, personality. All of those things matter in balancing you as a person. How you're giving to the circles that you're in, what you're getting out of them is a truly measurable assessment of how you're truly living and tapping into your purpose. So if you have not found your purpose in this book, I definitely will walk beside you until you do. Thank you so much.
With that said, I don't think there's anything for me to add or close on that other than to say thank you, thank you, thank you, not only for the nuggets that you drop, but the resources that you provide. I do want to add this point, because I don't know if y'all knew this. It's okay to read a book more than one time, because I don't know how many times I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I got the new version too.
I got the new version too. They just changed up a few words.
Right. But yeah, take those challenges. Challenge number 1 was, before you just go out and spend $1,000 on something that's not going to be around in February, consider putting that $1,000 into your business. Also, you want to just start to read in the area that you're interested in. Anytime you feel that you need a mentor, or you need access, or you need coaching, or whatever the case may be, first place you should start is either a library or Amazon books. Like, that's like, you know, me and the half price bookstore. I probably need to buy a stock in half price bookstore, but but yeah, that you have to take those steps. And I want you guys to go to Psych Connect online, look at the different packages there. As we said earlier, it does not suggest that you're ill or that you have some type of problem, issue, or weakness, but we can all be better versions of ourselves when we understand how things affect us that we may not have known affected us at all. You've been tuned into Boss Talk Radio. Next week, we're going to have on, why did it escape me? Oh, my girl, Ty Gaines. We're going to be talking about crypto taxes and escaping this myth that there's no tax to be paid on decentralized currency. And we're also working to get our brother Evan Jefferson on to talk to you about the different types of crypto investing. Then we're coming back to you, I think that's Christmas Eve. We're going to be talking to you about the myths of financing, because if I don't get this question once a week, I don't get it at all, which is it better to buy or lease a car for my business? And how do I do it? We're going to have a subject matter expert on to talk about that. And that's going to be the Christmas Eve Friday. So until then, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Cash. Look forward to having you back when we do the Boss Summit, as we're going to have several people that's in your circle anyway. And thank you again to my wonderful co-host. Look, you mastered that thing over there on the backside. She got all the conversations going. So she got them all going. Thanks so much, sis. We're going to see you guys again on next Friday. Until then, have a great weekend. Be blessed, be diligent, and get into your business.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. Need a boss, ooh, need a boss, ooh, need a boss, he's the boss, need a boss, need a boss.